Well, hello there. It's time to do some planning for 2026. Sewing, hedonistic knitting, maybe spinning some of the squishy fiber. I need a little structure, methinks, so let's dig into it. Work continues on trying to replace the bulk of my ill-fitting store-bought wardrobe with a homemade everyday fantasy wardrobe. And if you don't know what that means, it's that I want to make clothing that's perfectly acceptable to wear out in public, but maybe evokes a little bit of whimsy or fantasy. So a dress that's fine on its own, but kind of wakes up with a harness, stays, or an underbust corset. Poofy sleeve shirts, maybe with hand embroidery, knitted or tatted lace, maybe gothic bell sleeves. Perhaps shorts for summer and jeans that fit my particular curves the way that I want them to. T-shirts that actually fit my chest and don't ride up over my tummy or make me feel like I'm being strangled. I hear skinny jeans are coming back again, and if I can get through that crime against fashion without cutting off my circulation, I'll be a very happy camper. I'd also like a new winter coat for next year. I think I'm okay for this year. The husbeast apparently would beg to differ, but at very least I'd like a fall jacket and winter coat for next year. So we'll see if I can find it in myself to try out Twig and Tail's new bloom jacket and maybe the flourish dress code. Though the husbeast thinks it should be the other way around. He actually quite likes the flourish dress code. But honestly, between Twig and Tail, Cashmerette, and Helen's Closet, I'm pretty set. There's fantasy, fit, and that weird 1970s vibe that's been infiltrating my personal style. Let me know if there's anything fun you'd like me to try out in regards to new clothes. I'm always interested in hearing what's popular amongst my sewing buddies. I'm going to shoot for at least one sewn garment per month, possibly with embellishment, depending on whether or not I get sick of working on it. And I think that's a pretty achievable goal for sewing. I'm probably also going to make some bags, definitely a couple of project bags. I've considered trying a couple of purse patterns, but for some reason they always seem tiny to me. When it comes to my purse, I need something I can not only put my wallet into, but also my sock in progress and any other miscellaneous detritus. How does this fit into a year of stashbusting? Well, I've bought fabric over the past couple of years for projects I've never gotten around to, so I'll be working mostly from the fabric stash this year. There may be a couple of exceptions, but I think they'll be pretty minimal. And now on to the real fun. Yarn! But first, I'd like to thank my craft coven for sticking with me through a lot of this stash acquisition. I just wanted to let you know that whether you joined because of my sewing or my yarn crafts, or just my weird personality, or cats, I appreciate you. Now the rest of y'all, no, seriously, thank you everyone. I recently passed 10,000 subscribers, and we'll see where things go from here. In the meantime, if you would please be so kind as to boop the like button, smash ye old hype button if it happens to be kicking around, and stay to the end of the video, I'd be much obliged. If you too are interested in joining the Craft Coven, there's a link to Patreon down in the description, or you can become a channel member. And if that's not for you, no worries. I'm really just glad you're here. So, yarn. I have somewhere in the ballpark of 118 100-gram skeins or balls of fingering weight yarn back there, and I think I've come up with an idea of how to chip away at some of it. Aside from cranking out socks on the sock machine until one bicep is vastly more defined than the other, yes, I managed to find a reasonably priced 3D printed sock machine made here in Canada, so no tariffs, no customs, just a lovely parcel shipped from a small business in Ontario. And yes, if it isn't already up, there will likely be a video about this because I want to test it on some of my leftover sock yarns, right here, to figure out the gauge I'm dealing with. So, yay for the leftover sock yarn bucket. I also need to learn how to use it, so that's on the list of things to do. But since I'm not about to hand knit or crank all of my yarn into relatively vanilla socks, that means finding something else to do with some of this yarn. And possibly the spinning fiber, come to think of it, because there's about 60 packages of fiber, possibly more, because I think I missed a couple of bags. Basically a couple of things I wanted to finish up and or get started on, so they'd been set aside. So there's a lot we can play with over the next however long it takes. But I was thinking that having at least one small monthly project to complete isn't a bad idea, and that's in addition to the sewing. Somehow my memory dredged up the Yarn Harlot's self-imposed sock club. And for those of you who don't know the Yarn Harlot, Stephanie Pearl McPhee has been blogging, publishing books, and speaking about her knitting lifestyle for a couple of decades now. She's been sock mad throughout most of it and has been associated, at least on a casual basis, with a couple of indie dyers or small yarn businesses. At the very least, she's been an avid collector of sock yarns, somewhat like me, whether individual skeins or clubs. The sock club has been a staple of many small yarn businesses. The most popular one I can recall was the Blue Moon Fibre Arts Rock and Sock Club with their flagship yarn, Socks That Rock. Go figure. The Rock and Sock Club wasn't cheap. You paid for it up front. It was a couple $100 Canadian, if I recall, and you'd get the materials to make a pair of socks every 2 months, if memory serves. That's the yarn, the pattern, and sometimes fun extras like mini skeins, buttons, or stickers. I saved up for a couple of years so I could join the fun, and I think it was just after the club peaked, so they were trying new things. By the time I was in the club, they were stretching past just socks. Sure, you could make socks from the yarn that you received, but the pattern they sent might not be for socks at all. 1 month the kit came with a heavier sock yarn, gold and blue contrast yarns the same weight, and a pattern to make mittens with a chicken on the top of the hand. I think the alternate pattern was a stranded hat. Another month was a dull gold yarn and multicolored silk. I can't remember what the pattern was, and my binder with the Blue Moon patterns has yet to be located. So, sock yarn, but not always socks. For the record, I wore out the chicken mittens. I might have to see if I can find some similar yarns sometime and make another pair because they were a fun pattern. People do seem to do a double take when they see chickens on your mittens. But to bring it back around to the Yarn Harlot, in January 2010 she created her own private sock club in order to use up some of her stash yarns. She chose 12 skeins of yarn and 12 patterns to go with them, stuck each pair into a plastic zip bag, and put those bags on a shelf in random order. Each month she'd choose a bag, again at random from the shelf, and that would be what she'd work on. By the end of the year she'd have socks for herself and as gifts for Christmas. And apparently she's still doing her self-imposed sock club. The blog itself is rarely updated these days, but you can usually find pictorial updates on Instagram. So my idea is definitely based on that concept and my experience. So I'm going to be pulling sock weight yarn and fluff for 12 projects throughout the year, and we'll figure out what those things want to be. Then we'll make sure that it has its own zipper bag, and I'll put a note as to which pattern I'm using. I'd rather not print the patterns because I often work from my iPad. Saves some of the paper that I use printing out patterns. I'm going to anonymize it by picking up some paper bags or envelopes on grocery day, and they'll get taped closed without any months printed on them, so I don't really know what I'm picking out of the mystery bin. Obviously, I'm not going to put anything in the bags that I'll want to get done before specific times of the year. For instance, I'd like to get my works in progress finished up toward the first half of the year, which means I'll be a bit better prepared for next Christmas. I also have some vintage, or more accurately, antique knits that I'd either like to get finished or started. I found a crochet pattern for a very stereotypical Victorian granny bonnet that I kind of want to cast on. So that's something to look forward to in the new year if I don't wind up giving in to the utter ridiculousness of this cap. Cats have the zoomies. I also need to make myself a new neck warmer and or hooded scarf, maybe an old-fashioned ski bonnet, mostly because I need something to keep my neck warm, and toques don't always fit me very well, particularly when I wear my hair up. So best to do that during the cold part of the year. So I'm going to get started pulling some things and we'll see where we go. have my 12 projects. I have socks, both for me and the husbeast. There's a possibility that something might go to the mother-in-law, but I think I might make those a little closer to whenever I'm going to knit them for her. So, some of the stuff that we have. This is Collinette Jitterbug in a very autumnal looking colorway. We have two Ancient Arts Socknado. One is Garden Gnomes and Pink Flamingos. Hi! And the other one is Get Off My Lawn. This was bought for me and this was bought for the husbeast. I'm just going to put those into bags. Hello, kitty. You're playing with yarn again, Mom. Pardonnez-moi. I have socks that rock because I've never actually made socks, I don't believe, out of socks that rock. This is Becky Sue. Funnily enough, my friend Ashley really liked this colorway, but I think she would have to fight the husbeast for it because he absolutely loves bright, bright greens. We have two, count 'em, two yarns from Polka Dot Creek. You just like making noise, don't you? Two yarns from Polka Dot Creek. This is in the Alley and Company series, I guess, called Alien. It has all kinds of cool alien colors. This is their self-striping sock set in Ghoul Friend, so that should be fun. So put them into their own bags. I also have another small mini skein that can go along with either the Alien or, if I need it, with the Ghoul Friend. Gonna need another bag. So just put those together. Luckily, Polka Dot Creek is fairly local to me, so if I need more yarn or I feel like I'm missing out by only having both of these and going through both of them in 1 year, I can always visit their fine establishment and get another one. And the last of the sock yarns is Malabrigo sock in Piedras. It has some fancy colors in it, some gold, some blue, some purple. I like it. Okay, stuff that's not socks. Technically, I bought this in the sock yarn area, but I think it's going to probably make a lace shawlette for the size. It's, I think, King or Ching Silky Merino Singles in Narwhal. Unfortunately, I don't know how to pronounce Q. It could be K or it could be Ch, I think. But yes, gorgeous. So I will find a shawlette to make that into. This is something I've had for ages. Couple of very sparkly Dragonfly Dye Works sock yarns that I bought with the intention of making a shawl. Not sure which shawl yet, but a shawl in the colorway, I can't say the name. Or rather, I don't want to say the name. It's another word for Romani or Romani. Give you an idea of what it is. But gorgeous yarn, nonetheless. And that is superwash merino and nylon with a little bit of stellina. So, very pretty. And I have been meaning to get around to that for years. I bought those. So this, the King, was bought at Stash Yarn Lounge down in Inglewood. This was bought at the Loop, which used to be in Kensington. Loop is no longer a company here in Calgary, unfortunately. They decided to retire. And I gather nobody was looking to run the business after them, although who really could, because Annie and her girls were kind of unique. They had a wonderful, wonderful eye for color and for hand dyes and for the things that her people would want to actually buy. So Calgary's going to miss them, that's for sure. Now I've also picked out 3 bits of floof. The first one, this was bought recently at Fibre Shindig here in Calgary. I think they do 2 per year. They did one up at the Genesis Center in the northeast of Calgary. I want to say about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. I went with my friends Nancy and Ashley, and we had a really good time just walking around and squeezing things. So this is hand dyed by Fibre Goddess, and the colorway is Don't Underestimate the Importance of Body Language. Little star that says Ursula, the Little Mermaids. There we go. And that is 75 Polworth, 12.5 camel, 12.5 mulberry silk. That's gorgeous. It'll be fun spinning this up into something. I don't know what, but it'll be fun. I also have, it's kind of double bagged here, Flounce by Into the World. That is Blue-Faced Leicester and Tussa Silk, the 75-25 mix. And it is from the Into the World Luxe Club from December of 2014. So I've had this for quite a long time. Very purple, but it's a purple that has some white in it, which is a little unusual. Usually with Into the World, the purple is mixed with blue and red, so it has that sort of blurple look to it. Come on, close up. And last but not least, Fat Cat Knits Fiber Club from October of 2013, Hula and Belly Dance. Some muted colors and some bright colors, so that should be fun to do. This is 75-25 Blue-Faced Leicester and Silk. Very squishy. So that's all the stuff that's going to go into my bin. I do happen to have a shopping bin that I will, at the very least right now, just yoink everything into until I get my paper bags. Now this isn't the only stuff I'm going to work on this year. This is just my monthly stuff. I am trying to use up both old yarn as well as choose some of my newer acquisitions, mostly because I bought things when I found them somewhat exciting. So yeah, for the spinning stuff, I will be spinning more than this over the course of the year. In fact, I believe my brother and sister-in-law have been really great at sending me some nice natural colored stuff that I haven't really been able to really dig into with all the sewing that's been going on. But these are the floofs that will be scheduled. So hopefully that will allow me to get to the more natural colored floofs. So I'm going to take some time, let the skeins tell me exactly what patterns they want to be, and then I will seal them up in a paper bag. Each paper bag for a different month. I'm hoping that having a little structure and some smallish projects will help me get into the groove over the next year. Doing the stash dive in November, cataloging the majority of my yarn, really felt good. I'd been doing so much sewing that I'd practically cut myself off from knitting entirely, and it even took me 2 years to knit a single pair of socks. It may even have been longer than 2 years. I know that I cast them on the morning of a New Year's Day, and I'd been feeling awful because I hadn't gotten any socks done that year. So I think it was January 1st, 2023. That pair was tagging along with me since, and it just hadn't grown. And at some point, I think in October, when the sweater I'd been working on proved to be taking longer than 2 weeks, I just said, screw it. I want to finish these. And I did. And it took a lot less time than I thought, but sock knitting's like that when I really knuckle down. So it feels like I've rediscovered a missing piece of myself, and that's good. I'm just gonna go with it. So what are you planning for the new year? Please let me know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.